The impossible planet. The discovery. Dr. Kaldar adjusted his optical sensors for the third time, certain they were malfunctioning. The data streaming across his display made no sense. The planet below, designated as Terra by its inhabitants, violated every known principle of habitable world classification. This cannot be accurate, he muttered, his translator converting his thoughts into universal standard. His assistant, a young Valerian named Sira, floated closer on her anti-gravity platform. I have checked the sensors twice, Doctor, Sira replied, her voice carrying concern. The readings are correct. That planet should not support complex life, yet our scans detect billions of sentient beings. Kaldar belonged to the Galactic Survey Corps, an organization responsible for cataloging potentially habitable worlds across known space. In his 200 years of service, he had never encountered anything like this. Breaking all the rules. The planet spun below them, a marble of blue and green wrapped in swirling white clouds. Beautiful, yes, but deadly in ways that defied imagination. Let me understand this correctly, Kaldar said, pulling up the environmental analysis. The atmospheric oxygen content is 21%? Confirmed, Sira responded. That is a fire hazard. Any species breathing that concentration would risk constant combustion of their surroundings. He scrolled further. The gravity measures 1.2 standard units. That would crush most developing species before they could evolve. There is more, Doctor, Sira added quietly. The planet experiences extreme temperature variations. Some regions drop to -40 degrees, while others exceed 50 degrees positive. Kaldar felt his breathing stalks flutter with agitation. Impossible. No species could adapt to such extremes. The seismic activity is also concerning, Sira continued. The planetary crust is divided into moving plates. Earthquakes and volcanic eruptions are common. And the weather patterns. She paused, pulling up a new display. They call them hurricanes, tornadoes, and tsunamis. Storms with wind speeds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour. The dominant species. What about the inhabitants? Kaldar asked. Surely they live in protected underground cities? Sira's optical membranes darkened, the Valerian equivalent of concern. No, Doctor. They live on the surface. In structures that seem almost fragile. And the dominant species. She pulled up biological scans, they call themselves humans. The holographic display showed a bipedal creature, remarkably simple in design. 2 arms, 2 legs, no natural armor, no protective scales or shells, no venomous defenses. They are soft, Kaldar observed with disbelief. Their skin is thin, easily damaged. They have no natural weapons, no environmental protection. How do they survive? I do not know, Sira admitted. But Doctor, there is something else. Something that makes no sense at all. What could possibly be more illogical than what we have already seen? They engage in recreational activities during their extreme weather events. We detected groups of humans deliberately entering their oceans during storm seasons. They call it surfing. Others climb their highest mountains, where oxygen is thin and temperatures are fatal, simply for enjoyment. Kaldar stood in stunned silence. Either their sensors were completely malfunctioning, or they had discovered the most paradoxical species in the galaxy. First contact protocol. We must initiate first contact, Kaldar decided. The Galactic Council must know about this planet immediately. If humans have survived in these conditions, they may possess knowledge valuable to other species. Should we not observe longer? Sira asked. First contact protocol suggests at least 6 months of study before direct interaction. Normally, yes, Kaldar agreed. But this situation is far from normal. Besides, any species that survives on a world like this has clearly reached a level of sophistication worth engaging. They transmitted the standard first contact signal, a mathematical sequence recognized across the galaxy as proof of intelligent life. The response came within minutes, faster than expected. A human face appeared on their display, male and designation based on their biological database. He had dark skin, short hair, and wore what appeared to be a formal uniform. "This is Colonel Marcus Webb of the United Earth Space Command," the human said in clear, measured tones. "We've been expecting you." Kaldar's sensory stalk straightened in surprise. "You have been expecting us?" "We detected your ship entering our system 3 days ago," Marcus replied with what their translator identified as a smile. "We would have made contact sooner, but we wanted to give you time to complete your initial scans. We figured you would have questions." The invitation. "Colonel Webb," Kaldar began carefully, "our scans indicate your planet is extremely hostile to life. The conditions should be fatal to any developing species." Marcus's smile widened. "You are talking about Earth?" "Yeah, she can be rough sometimes. But we have learned to adapt." "Adapt?" Sarah interjected. "Colonel, your atmosphere has enough oxygen to create firestorms. Your gravity would crush most species. Your weather alone would qualify as a planetary defense system." "I suppose it might seem that way to off-worlders," Marcus acknowledged. "But humans evolved here. This is normal for us. Actually, we consider Earth quite pleasant most of the time." Kaldar exchanged a glance with Sarah. The human actually believed his death world was pleasant. "Colonel Webb, we would like to request permission to visit your planet's surface," Kaldar said formally. "The Galactic Survey Corps wishes to understand how your species has achieved such remarkable adaptation." "Permission granted," Marcus replied immediately. "In fact, we would like to extend an invitation. We are hosting what we call the International Olympics next month. It is a gathering where humans compete in various physical challenges. We think you would find it educational." "Physical challenges?" Sarah asked. "On the surface? In your gravity?" "Of course on the surface," Marcus said, seeming genuinely confused by the question. "Where else would we hold them?" "Landing on the death world." The shuttle descent through Earth's atmosphere was the most terrifying experience of Kaldar's long career. The ship shook violently as they passed through layers of turbulent air. Sarah had to be sedated after the third bout of turbulence. When they finally landed in a place called Tokyo, Japan, Kaldar activated his environmental suit immediately. The suit would protect him from the crushing gravity, the dangerous oxygen levels, and the temperature extremes. Colonel Webb met them at the landing site, wearing nothing but simple fabric clothing and a smile. "Welcome to Earth," Marcus said warmly. "I hope the trip down was not too uncomfortable." "Your atmospheric conditions are extremely violent," Kaldar replied, his voice slightly shaken. "Does your planet always experience such turbulence?" "Oh, that?" Marcus looked surprised. "That was actually a pretty calm day. You should see it during monsoon season." Kaldar felt his internal organs shifting uncomfortably in the heavy gravity. Every step required tremendous effort. "How do you move so easily in this gravity?" "You get used to it," Marcus replied with a shrug. "Born and raised in it. Actually, a lot of our athletes train in even higher gravity to improve their performance." "Higher gravity?" Sarah whispered from inside her reinforced mobility chamber. "That is madness." "It is effective," Marcus said simply. "Build strength and endurance. Come on, let me show you around the Olympic facilities." The Arena of Champions. The Olympic Stadium was massive, an open-air structure that left participants completely exposed to Earth's harsh elements. Thousands of humans filled the seats, seemingly unbothered by the direct sunlight, the heat, or the oxygen-rich air. "This is where we hold track and field events," Marcus explained, gesturing to an oval track. "Running, jumping, throwing competitions." "They run?" Kaldar asked. "In this gravity?" "For recreation?" "For sport," Marcus corrected. "Some of our runners can cover 100 meters in under 10 seconds. The numbers meant nothing to Kaldar until his computer calculated the equivalent in his own species measurements. His optical sensors widened in disbelief. "That is impossible." The muscular structure required to move that quickly in this gravity would tear apart most biological tissues. Human muscles are pretty efficient, Marcus said proudly. Evolution on Earth favored durability and adaptability. They watched as human athletes competed in various events. Kildar observed in stunned silence as they threw heavy metal spheres incredible distances, leaped over bars set at heights that should have been impossible in this gravity, and ran until their bodies glistened with the cooling fluid they called sweat. Why do they push themselves to such extremes? Sarah asked. Is this military training? No, this is just sport, Marcus replied. Humans like to test their limits. It is part of our nature. The swimming revelation. The most shocking event came when Marcus led them to an aquatic facility. Humans were diving into massive pools of water, racing across the surface with remarkable speed. You enter the water willingly? Kildar asked, horrified. Your species did not evolve for aquatic environments. No, but we learned to swim anyway, Marcus said. Actually, swimming is one of the first things we teach our children. Earth is mostly water, so it is a valuable skill. Teach your children? Sarah's voice pitched higher. You put your young in water? Sure. Babies can actually swim instinctively before they can walk. Kildar's worldview was crumbling. This species deliberately exposed their offspring to mortal danger as a teaching method. Watch this, Marcus said, pointing to the high diving platform. A human climbed a structure that must have been 10 meters tall, stood at the edge, and then deliberately threw herself off, plummeting toward the water below. She entered cleanly, surfaced moments later, and swam to the edge amid the cheering of the crowd. She just jumped from a fatal height, Kildar stated, his voice hollow. Into water. For entertainment. For sport, Marcus corrected again, still smiling. That was a perfect dive. Very difficult technique. Understanding begins to dawn. That evening, as Kildar and Sarah reviewed their observations in their shuttle, the doctor felt a new understanding forming. I think I am beginning to comprehend something, he said slowly. This planet, Earth, it is not just hostile. It is actively challenging. Every day, these humans must overcome obstacles that would destroy other species. And they thrive in it, Sarah added. More than thrive. They seek out additional challenges. They climb mountains, they dive into oceans, they compete against each other in tests of physical ability. Earth did not make them weak, Kildar realized. It made them strong. Adaptable. Relentless. A message appeared on their console. It was from Colonel Webb. Tomorrow we are demonstrating some of our extreme sports, the message read. I think you will find them interesting. We will be showing rock climbing, skydiving, and something we call parkour. Hope you can join us. Kildar looked at Sarah, and despite his exhaustion and the strain of Earth's gravity on his body, he felt something he rarely experienced, excitement. I think, he said slowly, that the Galactic Council is going to be very interested in humanity. This is not a species that merely survived a death world. This is a species that was forged by it. Should we warn them? Sarah asked. Warn them about what? That humanity might be the most dangerous species we have ever encountered? Kildar considered this for a long moment, watching through the viewport as humans continued their evening activities below, jogging through parks, playing games, living their lives on a planet that would kill most species within hours. No, he said finally. I think we should let them discover that for themselves. The Council's education. The report that changed everything. The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Kildar's report concluded. The gathered representatives from 47 different species sat in stunned disbelief. On the central holographic display, images of Earth rotated slowly, each data point highlighted in warning red. Grand Counselor Thex Moore, a Arkelian whose species had seen 30,000 years of galactic civilization, spoke first. His voice carried the weight of authority. Dr. Kildar, you are certain these readings are accurate? This planet Earth truly experiences tectonic instability, extreme weather patterns, and high oxygen content? I have verified the data personally, Kaldar replied. What you see is not exaggerated. If anything, our instruments struggle to convey the true hostility of that world. A murmur rippled through the council. Representative Kixala, a crystalline being from the luminous cluster, chimed in musical tones. And the inhabitants, these humans, they live on the surface without environmental suits. Correct, Kaldar confirmed. They build structures that are open to the atmosphere. They breathe the oxygen-rich air directly. They even sleep in the open during certain seasons, what they call camping. Madness, another representative whispered. The human ambassador. Perhaps, a new voice interrupted, we should let the humans speak for themselves. All eyes turned to the chamber entrance where Colonel Marcus Webb stood, now officially designated as Earth's first ambassador to the Galactic Council. He wore a formal uniform but no environmental suit, breathing the chamber's carefully balanced atmosphere without any sign of discomfort. Ambassador Webb, Thexmore greeted formally. The Council welcomes you, though we must confess confusion about your planet's classification. Marcus stepped forward, his movements controlled and precise in the reduced gravity of the Council station. I understand our world seems dangerous to you. But I would like to offer a different perspective. Please, Thexmore gestured for him to continue. Marcus activated his own holographic display, showing Earth from space. What you call a death world, we call home. Yes, Earth is challenging. Yes, it demands strength and adaptation. But it also taught us something valuable, something I believe the galaxy needs to understand. The demonstration. Words may not suffice, Marcus continued. So I have prepared a demonstration. With your permission, I would like to show you what humans are capable of. The council exchanged uncertain glances before Thexmore nodded. Proceed. Marcus tapped his communication device. Send in the team. 6 humans entered the chamber, 3 males and 3 females, all wearing simple athletic clothing. They moved with confidence despite being surrounded by dozens of alien species, many far larger than themselves. These are members of Earth's Olympic team, Marcus explained. They represent the peak of human physical ability, though I should note that millions of humans train regularly and could perform similar feats. What is the purpose of this? Kixala asked, her crystalline form chiming with curiosity. The chamber's gravity is currently set to 0.7 standard units, Marcus said. For us, that is significantly lower than Earth's gravity. Would you object to raising it to 1.2 units, our standard? Alarm rippled through the council. That would be dangerous for many species present, a Valerian representative protested. Then allow me to demonstrate with a smaller increase, Marcus suggested. Raise the gravity to 0.9 units in the demonstration area only. The council agreed, and the gravity field was adjusted. Several representatives sagged visibly under the increased weight. The human athletes, however, seemed energized. Watch, Marcus said simply. Impossible feats. The demonstration began. The first athlete, a woman named Sarah Chen, performed a series of movements that defied logic. She executed flips, spins, and jumps that should have been impossible in the increased gravity. Her body bent and twisted with fluid grace, landing perfectly after each maneuver. The second athlete, a man named James Okoro, lifted weights that made the assembled aliens gasp. Metal bars loaded with plates that would crush most species' bones, lifted smoothly above his head, held steady, then lowered with perfect control. The third athlete, a woman named Yuki Tanaka, ran. But not just ran, she sprinted at speeds that seemed to blur the edges of her form. She completed a lap of the chamber in seconds, barely breathing hard when she finished. One by one, each athlete demonstrated the results of human evolution on a death world. Strength, speed, endurance, flexibility, all pushed to levels that the Galactic Council had never witnessed in any species they had encountered. When the demonstration ended, the chamber remained silent. Finally, a Thrylian representative, a species known for their military prowess, spoke with what the translator labeled as nervous respect. Ambassador Webb, are these humans enhanced in some way? Cybernetics? Genetic manipulation? No, Marcus replied simply. They are natural humans who have trained extensively. But they are not unique. Given time and training, most humans could achieve similar results. The military question. Thexmore leaned forward in his seat, his aged eyes studying Marcus carefully. Ambassador, I must ask a difficult question. Your species clearly possesses remarkable physical capabilities. What are your military applications? The chamber tensed. This was the question everyone had been thinking but hesitating to ask. Marcus met the Grand Counselor's gaze steadily. We have military forces, yes. Earth's history has been marked by conflict, and we learned long ago that peace must sometimes be defended. But I did not come here to threaten anyone. That is not what I asked, Thexmore pressed gently. I asked about applications. What can human soldiers do? Marcus paused, considering his words carefully. Our special forces can operate in environments that would kill most species. They can function at extreme temperatures, survive on minimal resources, and push their bodies beyond normal limits for extended periods. They can march for days carrying equipment that weighs as much as they do. They can fight effectively while exhausted, injured, or operating in hostile conditions. He let that sink in before continuing. But more importantly, they are trained to think, to adapt, to overcome unexpected challenges. Earth did not just make us physically strong. It made us mentally resilient. The fear spreads. Over the following weeks, as Earth formally joined the Galactic Council, reports of human capabilities spread throughout civilized space. Some species responded with fascination, others with fear. Dr. Kaldar found himself in high demand as a speaker, explaining what he had witnessed on Earth. During one such lecture at the Galactic Science Academy, a young student asked the question that was on everyone's mind. Doctor, should we be afraid of humans? Kaldar considered the question carefully. He thought of Marcus Webb's genuine kindness, of the humans who had shared their culture and history so openly, of the Olympic athletes who competed with joy rather than aggression. No, he said finally. We should not be afraid of humans. But we should respect them. And perhaps more importantly, we should learn from them. Learn what? Another student asked. That adversity can be a teacher. That challenges can forge strength. That what seems impossible can become routine with determination and adaptation. The crisis. 6 months after Earth joined the Galactic Council, a crisis emerged that would test everything they had learned about humanity. The mining colony on Tharsis 4 sent out a desperate distress call. A massive seismic event had triggered volcanic eruptions across the planet's surface. 3,000 colonists were trapped, surrounded by lava flows and toxic gases. The planet's atmosphere was a deadly mix of sulfur dioxide and carbon monoxide. Temperatures exceeded 200 degrees in many areas. The Galactic Rescue Fleet arrived to find conditions even worse than reported. The fleet commander, a veteran Thrylian named Corax, studied the data with growing desperation. We cannot send our people down there, he concluded. The conditions are too extreme. Even our most advanced environmental suits will fail in that heat and toxic atmosphere. We will have to wait for the volcanic activity to subside. How long will that take? His second officer asked. 3 weeks. Maybe 4. The colonists do not have that long. Corax knew this was true. They would run out of oxygen within days. Food and water would last a week at most. But what choice did they have? Commander, the communications officer interrupted. We are receiving a transmission from an Earth vessel. They are requesting permission to attempt a rescue. Corax felt a chill run through his scales. An Earth vessel? Here? Put them through. The face that appeared on the screen belonged to Captain Lisa Rodriguez of the Earth rescue ship Endurance. She wore a standard Earth uniform and an expression of calm determination. Commander Corax, we have been monitoring the situation. My crew is prepared to go down to the surface and extract the colonists. Captain Rodriguez, Corax began carefully, the surface conditions are lethal. The heat alone would dash. Commander, Lisa interrupted politely but firmly, we are from Earth. We know extreme heat. We know toxic atmospheres. And we know how to work in conditions that other species cannot tolerate. Trust us. This is what we are good at. Descent into hell. The Galactic Rescue Fleet watched in amazement as the human rescue teams prepared for descent. Their equipment seemed impossibly light, their confidence seemingly misplaced. They will not survive 5 minutes down there, one of Corax's officers muttered. But the humans descended anyway, their shuttles cutting through the toxic atmosphere with practiced ease. On the surface, they deployed with military precision, moving through the hellscape of lava and toxic gases as if it were merely inconvenient rather than lethal. Captain Rodriguez led one team personally. Her suit was advanced but not dramatically more so than standard galactic equipment. The difference was not the technology but the person inside it. Teams 2 and 3, establish extraction points at these coordinates, she ordered calmly, her voice clear despite the howling winds and rumbling eruptions around her. Team 4, secure the northern perimeter. I want eyes on any unstable geological formations. The human teams moved with efficiency that bordered on the supernatural. They navigated rivers of molten rock, operated effectively despite visibility being reduced to near zero by ash clouds, and maintained steady communication even as volcanic lightning crackled across the sky above them. The rescue. The trapped colonists, a mix of species huddled in what remained of their settlement's emergency bunker, could not believe what they were seeing when the first human rescue team broke through. We are here to get you out, a human medic named Carlos Santos announced, his voice steady and reassuring through his suit's external speakers. I need everyone to remain calm and follow our instructions exactly. The surface is too dangerous, a Valerian colonist protested. We will never make it to your ships. Yes, you will, Carlos replied with absolute confidence. We have done this before. Trust us. The evacuation proceeded in waves. Human rescue workers carried those too injured or weak to walk. They navigated treacherous paths through the volcanic landscape with the skill of mountain guides on Earth's most challenging peaks. When lava flows cut off their planned route, they adapted instantly, finding new paths through terrain that should have been impassable. Above, Commander Corax watched the tactical display in stunned silence. How are they doing this? The conditions down there should be overwhelming their systems. Commander, his science officer reported, I have been analyzing the human bioreadings. Their stress hormones are elevated, yes, but they are functioning at near optimal levels. It is as if their bodies were designed for crisis situations. In a way, they were, a familiar voice spoke from behind him. Dr. Kaldar had arrived on Corax's ship to observe. Earth prepared them for exactly this type of challenge. After the storm. 12 hours later, the last colonist was safely aboard the rescue vessels. 3,000 lives saved. Not a single casualty among the rescue teams. Captain Rodriguez gave her final report to Commander Corax via video link. Her face showed exhaustion now, the adrenaline of the rescue finally wearing off, but her voice remained steady. All personnel accounted for, Commander. The colonists are receiving medical treatment. We will remain on station until the volcanic activity subsides, in case secondary rescue operations are needed. Corax struggled to find words. In his 3 decades of leading rescue operations, he had never witnessed anything like this. Captain Rodriguez, I do not know how to properly express the gratitude I feel. Your people went into conditions that should have been fatal. You saved lives that we had already considered lost. Lisa smiled, a weary but genuine expression. Commander, on Earth we have a saying, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Our planet taught us how to face impossible odds. It would be a shame not to use that training to help others. After the transmission ended, Corax turned to Dr. Kaldar. You were right, Doctor. We should not fear humans. But perhaps we should be very grateful they have chosen to be our friends. The new reality. Word of the Tharsis 4 rescue spread across the galaxy faster than light travel. The story was told and retold, gaining almost mythical status. The humans who walked through fire and toxic gases to save strangers from species they had only recently met. In the weeks that followed, requests for human assistance began arriving at Earth's Galactic Council office. A mining operation in a high-gravity system needed consultants. A colony on a storm-racked planet wanted human engineers to design more resilient structures. A military alliance asked if human trainers could help prepare their forces for hostile environment operations. Ambassador Marcus Webb reviewed the requests with his staff, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. It seems, he observed, that the galaxy is beginning to understand what living on Earth has given us. Not just strength, but the willingness to use that strength to help others. His aide, a young diplomat named Jennifer Zhao, nodded thoughtfully. Sir, do you think they realize yet what this means? That Earth's challenges were not a curse but a gift? Marcus looked out the viewport at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, Earth spun on its axis, its billions of inhabitants going about their lives on a planet that would kill most species. But they did not just survive. They thrived. They dreamed. They reached for the stars and refused to let anything stop them. They are beginning to understand, Marcus said. And I think that understanding will change the galaxy. The message home. That evening, Marcus recorded a personal message to be sent back to Earth. It would travel for weeks through the communication relays, but he knew his words would be heard eventually. To the people of Earth, he began, I am writing from the Galactic Council station. 6 months ago, we took our first steps into a larger universe. We were nervous, uncertain of how we would be received. Would they welcome us? Would they fear us? He paused, gathering his thoughts. What I can tell you now is that the galaxy has learned something important about humanity. They have learned that we are strong, yes. But more than that, they have learned that we are resilient. Adaptable. Determined. They have learned that when others say something is impossible, humans hear that as a challenge. When they describe conditions as too extreme, humans see an opportunity to prove what is possible. When they give up hope, humans step forward and refuse to accept defeat. Earth made us this way. Every storm we weathered, every mountain we climbed, every ocean we crossed, all of it prepared us for this moment. Our planet was not trying to destroy us. It was training us. Making us ready for a universe that needs what only we can provide. So to everyone back home, I want you to know this, the galaxy is watching Earth with respect. And maybe a little bit of healthy fear. But most of all, they are watching with gratitude. Because they now understand that humanity did not just survive a death world. We learned to thrive on it. And now we are sharing those lessons with everyone. We called it home. And that made all the difference.